McLean with Trainly TV, and I am really excited to share with you on some new and exciting things that are going on in the garden railroad hobby. This episode we're going to be talking about what has completely been the rage all over Europe, and you are finding these popping up everywhere. And what is really cool is you don't even have to have a garden railroad. You can set this up inside or outside. Now, for those of you that know me, you know that the one thing I love more than working on my garden railroad is actually skiing. And now, what could be better than this is that we've actually been able to combine skiing and garden railroading into the same hobby. Now, that is fantastic. Now, let me show you what I mean. I'll set these skis down over here. Oh, by the way, I just picked up these new skis, and for those of you that ski, these new AK skins are absolutely the bomb. But we'll get to that later. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about these. That's right, an actual working scale model of a gondola, chairlift, or tram. These are called Jagendorf, JC Jagerndorf, and these are the absolute rage all through Europe. When I'm skiing there, taking people on ski tours, we'll see these things in all the ski shops. And now they're available here in the US market through Trainly. These things are definitely not a toy. These are a very fine scale, a lot of detail model. And they come in several different configurations with a base station and just a little top pull wheel to a base station and a top station. And you can do gondolas, you can do chairs, and believe it or not, we can actually go ahead and you can get your name of your railroad or little ski resort printed on these gondolas or trams. Now, this is really designed for indoor use. However, we've seen lots and lots of people, especially in Europe, put these things outside in their garden railroads or in their gardens, and they look spectacular. They run really well, and they have fantastic details, I already said. So I'm going to walk you through on what we're doing here on our railroad with these Jagendorf gondola systems. We'll do a couple of episodes on these as I go through the process of figuring out where to put it in the railroad, how to install it and run it. And I'm purposefully leaving it outside through our really, really bad weather. Matter of fact, we've had several snowstorms. It's been completely buried already. We've had winds of over 80 miles an hour, and these things have held up really fairly well. The base station and top station are enclosed in a little scale building that I put over it to protect it. And I would not recommend leaving these things out for an extended period of time in your garden railroad. But I wanted to come up with a way that you could easily set up this system and either cover it up or take it in for the winter, or if you're planning on having some significant weather or not going to be using it for a period of time. So let's go ahead and get started. The first step is to determine if you're going to be putting in a chairlift or a gondola. If you're going to be putting in a chairlift, that will be generally a little bit more of a gradual climb up the side of the mountain, not necessarily a vertical climb like a tram. You'll want to make sure that you have a good level place at the base station and also a nice good level spot at the top station. From there, obviously, you want a nice clean, clear path from the bottom to the top with no trees or brush. If you're going to be doing a gondola, then those can be a little bit more of an aggressive climb up the hill if you want. Of course, many of them follow the same type of terrain contours as a chairlift. But either way, make sure you have a nice, smooth, level base station area and a top station area and a clear path all the way through from the bottom to the top. We picked this location next to the main train station on our garden railroad. We've marked it with rebarb and some string so we get a good idea of how the final placement will look and to make sure there's no major obstructions such as trees or bushes or anything like that. It's a nice gentle climb from the base station up to the top near the sidewalk. It's in a really good location as it can be seen from many different areas, yet not in an area where people would be normally walking over and perhaps tripping on the towers or the cables. Our plan is to design a gondola with a semi-permanent installation. However, if needed, we can relocate it easily to another part of the garden, or if needed, bring it in for the wintertime out of the weather and easily install back in the summer. I start with 7-inch square concrete pavers. These are inexpensive and come in different colors. When these are attached to the bases of your towers, they look like a real concrete foundation, which they are. I use the base plate from the towers to determine the location of the holes to drill in the paver. I take 4 bolts and washers and insert them through the concrete paver. The 4 bolts and washers are secured by using a very good exterior concrete adhesive. I twist them a little as I push them in. The next step is to turn it over and attach the tower with the bolts and nuts. It's important that you do this before the adhesive sets up. That way all the screws align perfectly with the holes in the base stations. Tighten them down, but not too tight as you don't want to crack the base. Trim the extra thread off with a cutoff wheel or hacksaw, but make sure you leave enough thread to attach a cap nut at the end. This gives you a nice finished look. The next step is to attach this paver to the larger 8x12 paver. Once again, use the exterior grade masonry adhesive. In order for the 2 pavers to sit flush with each other, you may need to grind out 4 areas on the larger paver for clearance of the bolts. You will want to determine how many towers you will need for your chairlift or gondola. I recommend spacing them anywhere from 6 to 10 feet apart. Now, of course, that will vary depending on the topography of your route. Not enough towers will give you big sags in your route, and too many towers will give you more opportunities for the little chairs to get snagged in the wheels. Now it's time for the initial placement of your towers. You want to make sure that they are in perfect alignment. Using a guide string will help a lot. Now determine whether your towers are vertical or 90 degrees to the slope. Most prototypical towers are 90 degrees to the slope. This concludes part 1. In part 2, we will focus on installing the base station and the top station. I'm Holly McLean for Trainly Tech TV. Please email me if you have any questions. If you've enjoyed watching this, please like and subscribe to our channel. Once again, thank you for watching.